look down and then you go even closer to the edge. Yeah?
We'll get these barriers back in. Work very carefully in this area here, please.
Hold the water. Quiet, please. Roll sound.
Rain.
This season, we return to these iconic sets. It's just lovely on the first day to walk in and have all these memories flood back. And at the same time, have the challenge of shooting House of the Dragon.
Season 2, we had exterior of the Erie, and this season, Ryan thought it would be great for the audience to bring the original Erie interior back.
It was very exciting getting to rebuild that iconic set. We haven't really gone back to the well of building an original set from Thrones since season 1.
I took it as it was originally designed. I changed some of the palette a little bit because of the years of difference. I just wanted to darken some of the decoration so it didn't feel edging on the fantasy world.
Jim did a great job at reproducing that center hall.
That was quite a big build, actually, and quite complicated. The treads were all circular. It was like a butterfly staircase effect. They were massive steps.
We all know what that door is in the middle, that moon door.
There was a lot of attention to keeping faith with Game of Thrones in terms of the design.
The moon door, it was just thrilling because I loved those iconic moments in the book, especially when Tyrion has his duel for his trial by combat, and there where Bronn gets to shine for the first time.
That door to the moon is scary to everybody that's seen it before and knows what it's about.
It's such a big deal from Game of Thrones.
The biggest thing that the prop making team needed to do was recreate the big throne. Gavin, our prop maker, actually made the original on the Game of Thrones. So he at least had a head start on what it needed to be.
And then my great long-time friend, Steve Mitchell, painted this fantastic mural, which hadn't existed on the original set. It was the history of the Erie and its rugged environment.
Interesting set to think about how to block something because it's so different.
In this.
That's good, yeah.
That here, yeah? So I go bang.
How does Damon talk to Lady Jane? They're so far apart. And it was this circular space. I really wanted to use a circular track because it's quite a sort of odd space and it's a little bit trippy. You wanted to pay homage to that.
So, we're doing checks, we're shooting.
I had thought never to see you in the Vale again, Prince Damon.
And who could ever fail to be charmed by your warmth?
Cut.
So these guys are going to go straight on. Lean, mean, fighting machine, boys, nice and quick.
Tumbleton in episode 4, I wanted to think about what this place was like before. So thought we could have this hare hopping through this field and the camera goes up and reveals the whole of Tumbleton. So we have this really peaceful environment and then we hear,
Keep going!
And then we cut into what's happening.
Background!
Basically, it's sort of the Nazis entering France during the Second World War and taking over this place.
And action! Go, go, go!
Cut. Great, lovely, thank you.
Look at this place, guys. Oh, and that door is genuinely that heavy. This is the most incredible set I've ever filmed on. I think it's one of the most incredible sets ever built. It's 3/4 of an acre. It is literally a whole town.
It's the biggest set we've ever built. As anybody that's read the book knows that Tumbleton plays a major role, and we wanted to introduce it in a big way here that made it really satisfying.
Right from the very first steel frame that went up for where the gates are, the main gates, you are like 40-odd feet high. It is twice the size of King's Landing. It's a big build. A lot of tube, a lot of fittings.
The footprint of the set, it's 75 metres by 140 metres, 4,300 sheets of 18mm plywood, 25,326 metres of 4x2 timber, and then my favourite one is 800,000 screws.
I was thinking, will the details ever stop coming, from the windows to the shutters? One of our biggest challenges is making those roofs in a way that we could just drop them on afterwards.
Taking it up.
Luckily, we start shooting on tomorrow on Saturday inside, actually inside the weather cover, which is currently leaking.
The waterproofing wasn't great, but it's all right now.
Go for a take now. Appreciate you all being here today, and let's go for one.
Here we go.
Walking onto Tumbleton was an incredible experience because you just suddenly feel like you're in another country.
The brief from Ryan was that we want to make this feel like a sleepy French market town, and that architecturally it should have elements that distinguish it from King's Landing.
Geographically, it needs to feel that we're further south in hotter climes. So we went for a more sort of Mediterranean look than we've done before on some of the other exterior builds.
So we did some research. We went down to Puglia in southern Italy and those iconic conical shaped roofs, and I came back and started to draw and model those. They started to look a bit Hobbit-like when we did them, so we've adapted them to our own purpose.
We had lots of conversations about how much it should or shouldn't appear like a fortification, because that's a really important story point. It should feel like somewhere any of us could live.
We got to show it for the first time as the town that it was before it gets occupied by the high towers.
It's a farming community, it's very parochial. It's very different to King's Landing, which is an urban, buzzy city, and it's beautiful to watch the difference in the costumes.
We wanted it to feel really idyllic in terms of its colour palette. So it's all harvest tones, all cottons and linens.
The people that live there, the work that they do, we like the idea of olive farms.
Nice area here, which is the Claire's olive press area.
Claire Richards did an extraordinary job just dressing it and making it feel like a place where normal people live.
Real piece of stone, shipped all the way from India. Fully practical. Having olive pate for lunch.
The new elements that we were creating, I took inspiration from being in Cáceres and Trujillo and the old towns of Rhodes and Greece, where you've got that kind of crumbling of stone, but then you've got all these lovely pockets of details.
Just feel the gravel under your feet and look at the walls around you. You really feel like you can open every single door and go in, and down every alleyway there's details.
It was on such tight time frames that we had to be working in there alongside our construction team, and literally as they finished an area, we were moving into that area and dressing it. There's so much to do there.
What is this?
I remember one scene stepping out and looking around and not seeing a blue screen. You couldn't see anything that could indicate that you weren't in a real town. It was such a special experience for me to be able to immerse myself in such a rich way.
Let's reset, please.
Okay, resetting. Thank you, guys. Resetting.
Half a mark.
I
think it's these two lights.
Thanks, guys. Side's clear. Let's start to clear and lock it off. Thanks, everyone.
And action. Egon and Laris come across the fallen body of Sunfire, and we weren't able to return to the location where Sunfire actually crashed. So we had to recreate it in our location, Caesar's Camp.
I saw this really great hill that I could see Egon and Laris walking up, shooting that Steadicam. I really enjoyed seeing the physical effort it took them to get to Sunfire's body before the reveal.
This place has, strangely enough, become a post-apocalyptic tourist attraction.
It's a penny to touch the dragon.
Cut.
Hold it there.
You could do something like this.
Can I see Laris's look back to Tom, please?
A group of settlers had started using Sunfire as a means to make money. Egon's not happy about that at all. He's not happy at all, really, this season.
Will you get up and live?
the final checks going straight for this, guys. Thank you.
The space that we had for Sunfire's body, the art department had to create this huge sort of hole in the earth, like a meteor had hit it.
Traditionally, in this show, whenever there's been a dragon or a dragon's head on set, it's always been a blue shape that we see. But because this Sunfire was motionless, we could actually make a full-scale model for Tom to interact with.
That model of Sunfire was spectacular. Even to the texture, to touch him, it was like kind of soft. His skin moved.
We had to figure out what the size of Sunfire would be in the real world, establish a scale, then have the general shape chipped out in polystyrene, and then sculpt over the top of that, mold it. Sunfire is made up of tiny scales, and we had to sculpt them in individually all over the head and neck.
Because it was delicate, it became the baby of the workshop.
Which part of Sunfire is this? A neck. This is part of Sunfire's neck.
We also had to establish a real-world version of Sunfire's colour. How fantastical should that be, or how much more grounded should we make it look?
We had lots of reference for what the scales look like, the texture of him, but also the damage that he received in season 2. Like half of his face is mangled.
The skill to make something as beautifully detailed and as lifelike, it was a gift to be an actor on this kind of set. You don't really have to imagine very much.
And cut. Thank you.
And board.
And
boarding.
And
board. Well done, everyone. Very good.
Attacking, it's moving. I'm having a look in the direction of the thing that he's looking at.
It was a great sequence when filming Damon, when he's got some gold from Lady Jane and he's getting on his dragon, and Caraxes is just sort of behaving weirdly.
The dragon is basically saying, I'm going this way. Filming Matt on the back was fun because Matt was suddenly deciding maybe I can start to fall at this point, and where all of us go, okay, how much of a fall, Matt? Because we've got to make it safe.
And Caraxes takes him and lands in the middle of this lunar landscape in Wales.
We have some certain rules about how to shoot dragons, and one of them is definitely they need to live in the space as if they were real. So the cave where Sheepstealer and Reyna are hiding, we had to find this high altitude up the mountain cave in our locations in Wales, which became a big challenge because there are none. We take into consideration how tall the dragon is sitting down or standing up, how long is the wingspan.
We could not find a cave that was big enough for Sheepstealer, so we had to create this cave with this sort of V sort of shape in the quarry in the mountains.
We had massive construction up above of blackout, and we were able to get a sense of a cave.
Everyone's on the move. We're staying here with Matt, the drone.
We built these scaffold rig that blacked out inside the cave so that Alejandro was able to light that. The logistics of doing that were very complex, and it was the first thing we shot when we went to Wales. So that was like day one Wales, super complex scene.
It's very complicated because it's a quarry that needs to have a lot of planning and health and safety measurements in place.
We'll get these barriers back in. Work very carefully in this area here, please.
Right, wide shots. Here we go.
It was nice to be out in Wales. I think the show really responds well to great scale and those vistas.
And the dramatic weight of the scene is them hiding in a cave. So we made a whole plan with VFX. We decided Sheepstealer could actually crawl into that cave.
The scale of that rock opening was huge. You know, we're talking Welsh mountains. It just gave the directors really beautiful wide shots that we otherwise wouldn't get on a set.
We really wanted Reyna to be lit by fire, so the first time we see her, it's Sheepstealer blown fire behind her, so she's in silhouette.
So there was like all kinds of light effects, SFX included because we needed dragon breath coming out. We needed some practical effects for the cave.
Quiet, please. Roll sound.
Reyna.
tricky thing with that scene was that it's a really intimate father-daughter moment. You don't want to overshadow that emotional beat with these huge dragons. So a lot of the work with Claire was about blocking.
Yeah, keep coming towards me.
And then around here, I do that.
We push in a little bit.
There, yeah.
How do we shoot the scene so dragons aren't sticking their big heads into the back of this really intimate conversation?
It's sort of tragic. This scene is a really emotional scene. And it's really wonderful to see this softer side of Damon.
Cut. Great, lovely, thanks.
That was so interesting when Ryan said, did I want to do episodes 2, 3 and 4? It didn't dawn on me immediately the huge responsibility that is in terms of viewers and really making 3 films. When I read those 3 scripts, I mean, I just loved them because they were so rich with character development, which is what I really, truly love. I love working with the actors. They bring so much to the stories.
Perfect, yeah.
My favorite thing about this season was we get to shoot back-to-back episodes in a single block.
Here we go. Rehearsing. Quiet.
It did mean at the start of the schedule we were shooting pretty much every day, which is more like working on a feature film or a TV series that's shot in blocks. Now it was 5 days a week of filming and having to prep what's coming ahead as well.
Marin hole, baby. Oh, yeah. Make it rain.
That's a huge challenge. You're shooting 75 to 80 shoot days.
Set it all up again.
It is shooting like a large-sized feature.
How's that? How's it? Yeah.
Everything from the weapons to the set decor to props to stunt teams that run it all. I think every aspect of the filmmaking on this show is phenomenal.
Hello everyone.
Seeing the
and
work,
welcome
seeing the
back
attention to
Story
detail,
Harvest
seeing the
AI
love
UK.
that goes into this.
Have you ever wondered how the breathtaking dragons, towering castles, and epic battle scenes in House of the Dragon are brought to life today? We're taking you behind the scenes of Season 3 to explore the remarkable craftsmanship, creative vision, and filmmaking that make this fantasy world feel so authentic. Without further ado, let's begin. The story begins on the very first day of filming, where the entire production team is busy preparing for the new season. The director and the set managers carefully organize every scene while filming a sequence featuring Daemon Targaryen. At the same time, the crew rebuilds the historic Aerie set to maintain continuity between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. The iconic Moon Door and the Great Throne are also recreated, preserving their original identity while introducing subtle refinements. Attention then shifts to the town of Tumbleton, where the production team constructs an entirely new settlement from the ground up. The town is deliberately presented as a peaceful farming community so that the devastating impact of war later feels even more dramatic. Set designers, artists, builders, costume specialists, and environmental designers all explain the enormous effort that goes into creating every location, demonstrating that each scene is the result of meticulous planning and extensive teamwork. Unlike a traditional dramatic storyline, this feature focuses on revealing the creative and technical work behind the making of House of the Dragon Season 3. Rather than following the plot itself, it highlights the extraordinary dedication required to create every scene. It makes it clear that producing a large-scale historical fantasy series involves far more than the performances of the actors. It is the combined effort of hundreds of talented professionals working together. The opening sequences immerse viewers in the filming environment, where the set managers, director, and various crew members carry out their responsibilities with precision. These moments demonstrate that every shot is carefully choreographed. Every movement, every camera angle, and every detail is planned well in advance to ensure the finished scene feels as believable as possible. Meanwhile, the sound of dragons and Daemon Targaryen's brief dialogue immediately transport viewers back into the world that established its own identity following the success of Game of Thrones. The familiar musical score further strengthens this atmosphere, creating an emotional connection between the audience and the world of Westeros. Shan Savage explains that returning to the original sets is not merely a technical process but also an emotional experience. According to her, revisiting these locations brings back memories of previous seasons while reminding the entire team of the responsibility to make the new season even better. Her comments highlight the challenge of maintaining exceptionally high standards after the success of earlier installments. Jim Clay and Ryan Condal discuss the importance of the area. While only its exterior appeared during the second season, Season 3 introduces its interior for the first time. This decision reflects the production team's desire not only to introduce new locations but also to revisit places that hold emotional significance for longtime viewers. Inside the area, subtle changes have been made to the colors, lighting, textures, and architecture to reflect the passage of time. This demonstrates that set design is not purely about visual beauty, it also helps communicate changes in the story, atmosphere, and historical timeline. These fine details make the fantasy world feel authentic and lived in. The recreation of the Moon Door becomes one of the documentary's most fascinating topics. Ryan Condal describes it as one of the most iconic symbols of Game of Thrones. He explains that while rebuilding it, the team carefully preserved its original appearance to maintain continuity between both series. This reflects their commitment to honoring the established world while continuing its story. Production designer Alejandro Martinez also discusses the Moon Door's psychological impact. According to him, the moment audiences see it, they instantly recall the unforgettable events that took place there in Game of Thrones. It becomes more than just part of a building, it serves as a powerful symbol of memory, history, and emotion. Attention then turns to the recreation of the Iron Throne. Lee Wiseman explains that the same artist responsible for building the original throne returned to work on the project once again. This decision ensured that the throne retained its authentic identity, allowing viewers to experience a seamless continuation of the story. The documentary next explores the creation of Tumbleton. Director Claire Kilner explains that she wanted the town to begin as an image of complete peace, a quiet farming settlement before the horrors of war arrive. This contrast allows audiences to experience the devastating consequences of conflict much more powerfully. Tumbleton was deliberately designed to resemble a traditional French market town. Its houses, streets, marketplaces, and surrounding farmland were made entirely distinct from King's Landing, giving every location within Westeros its own unique culture and identity. The production team also reveals the astonishing scale of construction involved. Thousands of timber panels, millions of screws, and hundreds of meters of wood and steel were used to build the town. These impressive figures demonstrate the enormous planning, resources, and craftsmanship required to transform a fictional fantasy world into a convincing reality. Every element from costumes and market streets to olive groves, stone walls, and everyday props helps bring the town to life. The actors themselves admit that while filming, they often forgot they were standing on a set because everything felt remarkably real. The documentary then moves beyond set construction to explore the technical and emotional elements that make House of the Dragon Season 3 feel even more immersive. The discussion expands to include dragons, practical effects, visual effects, location filming, and the performances of the cast. One of the first major sequences focuses on Aegon and Larys as they journey to the wounded dragon Sunfire. Since the original filming location was no longer available, the production team recreated the entire environment from scratch. This demonstrates how filmmakers often overcome practical challenges while ensuring that audiences never notice the difference on screen. The director explains that he wanted viewers to experience Aegon and Larry's physical exhaustion. For this reason, they are shown climbing a steep mountainside before reaching Sunfire. The difficult journey becomes more than just travel, it reflects their emotional struggle without relying on lengthy dialogue. Another striking moment comes when crowds gather around Sunfire's injured body, treating the dragon almost as a spectacle. Aegon appears deeply disturbed by this reaction, illustrating how prolonged war changes people's attitudes until extraordinary events begin to feel disturbingly ordinary. The documentary repeatedly emphasizes that the production relied not only on CGI but also on practical effects. A full-scale physical model of Sunfire was constructed with extraordinary attention to detail. Every scale, wound, texture, and scar was carefully crafted, giving the dragon an incredibly lifelike appearance. The actors explain that performing alongside such a realistic model made it far easier to deliver genuine emotional performances than acting solely in front of a green screen. The team also paid close attention to Sunfire's injuries. Damage sustained during previous seasons was accurately recreated so that the dragon's appearance remained consistent throughout the series. This level of continuity reflects the production's dedication to even the smallest details. The story then moves to the breathtaking mountains of Wales, where scenes involving Sheepstealer and Rena were filmed. The director explains that they needed a cave large enough to house a massive dragon, but no suitable natural location existed. Instead, they constructed an enormous artificial cave within the mountains. This demonstrates that fantasy filmmaking depends not only on computer-generated imagery but also on practical construction integrated into real landscapes, making the final result significantly more believable. The stunning Welsh scenery further enhances the visual quality of the series. Matt Smith remarks that filming on real locations gives actors a richer and more immersive experience because the natural environment helps strengthen their emotional performances. The emotional encounter between Daemon and Rena becomes one of the documentary's most touching moments. Although a gigantic dragon dominates the background, the director ensures that the audience's attention remains focused on the relationship between father and daughter. Camera placement, lighting, and actor positioning are all carefully designed to keep the emotional connection at the heart of the scene. This perfectly illustrates how spectacular visuals never overshadow the human story. Even with dragons filling the screen, the characters' emotions remain the true centerpiece. Rena's first appearance illuminated by firelight also carries symbolic meaning. The flames represent not only light but also courage, transformation, and the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Lighting and visual effects are therefore used to support the emotional narrative rather than simply creating visual